Well, good morning, folks. Thought it was time for a little Fleabay edition. I haven't done one for a few days here. Been, what, week and a half or something? We've been working on airplane stuff mainly. So, anyway, I thought we'd go through and there's a few little interesting items here on Fleabay to be pointed out. And let's start out with shapers this morning. And let's see. Excuse me. And I'll just go through a few of these. None of these are, well, some of these aren't very pertinent at all, but they're kind of worth noting. Vintage quarter-inch spring shaper lay tool holder, Atlas Craftsman South Bend pre-owned, $49.99 and $10.90 shipping. This is actually a tool for the shaper, and you see a few of this style tool around. You know, usually we don't see them on these smaller machines, and I think I've seen a couple of these listed here in the last week or so. And what's the description say? The only thing that caught my interest is usually you don't see them this small. So up for sale, quarter-inch shaper lathe tool holder. Shank is 460 by 920 by 3.5 inches long. That's at least in the size range of what will fit on these little atlases and stuff. You don't, like I say, normally see them this small. You saw them, you know, it's kind of old technology, which I guess the Atlas stuff is old technology too, but you don't normally see them in this configuration on the small machines. Sometimes you'll see them on the larger machines, but they want 50 bucks and 11 bucks shipping, 10.90. We'll just kind of round those up. Cella's been around for a while. You know, it's an interesting piece. I don't know that they're worth investing your money in them for on the little Atlas machines, but just kind of interesting. So we've got that one. South Bend. This is in the South Bend. This is not a, but it's listed under shapers here for. So South Bend 7-inch shaper dry pulley guard. They've got the part number and stuff. They want 500 bucks for this thing and 21.50 shipping. Now this actually is for the South Bend. This is the larger guard. I have the smaller guard for these, and I have cast the smaller guards. Let's read the description real quick. There again, just another interesting thing. Not really. Doesn't really pertain to the Atlas stuff, but rare South Bend shaper cover pulley guard. No repairs, cracks, or surprises. Comes with a knob and lock assembly. Let's quickly look at the big pictures. I think 500 bucks is way too much. Now, I will say you don't see these very often. I do have the smaller one that I have cast and sold in the past, and there again, it's one that I will eventually introduce more as a, you know, just something that I've got that I might as well have out there and available if somebody that's got a South Bend is interested in them. But you know, I haven't messed with them in you know, for quite some time. I haven't cast any of these for 4, 5, 6 years probably. So it's like I say, this is a larger guard. You don't see as many of these anyway. I don't know that I've seen one listed on eBay. Of course, I don't look at South Bend stuff that much. So you look at all these guards and they say rare and all that good stuff. The reality is these are actually a pretty crude casting. Same way with the Atlas stuff. You know, I mean, there's definitely some technical skills involved when they did these and everything. But when you look at the qualities of the castings on these, usually they're not the greatest. They're pretty porous and stuff. This has got some goobers in here, and you've got sand inclusions down here, and that's just the normal. I would assume these are an aluminum guard, which is what the smaller guard is also a smaller guard. Anyway, won't waste any more time on that. Just a interesting little side note. Atlas milling machine motor, Craftsman 110 volt for Miller shaper, 125 bucks and $20 shipping. You know, are these worth investing in? This would have been a Craftsman, and it probably was not originally on a, let's see what it says, runs smooth and true. Who's selling this? Yeah, this is one of our sellers that does a fair amount of stuff. Craftsman motor that came off an Atlas milling machine. We all know that Atlas motor made for Craftsman. And he said he removed it from the, okay, I tested the motor and it runs smooth and true. It needs a power cord and it does have a small dent pictured. I would speculate, and I have no reason to doubt that it would have. Let's just look at the big pictures as we talk here. I have no doubt that this would have been on a Atlas mill or an Atlas, you know. This would have not been an original motor for that machine. You know, they use these Craftsman motors on several things, but it's got the switch up front, so it wasn't directly wired. It's a double-ended shaft motor, which you probably wouldn't have seen on the Atlas or the Craftsman mills or shapers type of thing. This had some application. What it actually was, I don't know, but I would speculate it was not original to that milling machine. It's a half-horse motor. Are these motors really worth investing in? I don't know. I mean, if I was looking for a motor for a machine, if I had to have an original, of course, if I had to have an original, I probably wouldn't buy a Craftsman motor if I was putting it on an Atlas. If I was putting it on a Craftsman machine, whether it was a mill shaper or lathe, then that would be one thing. But whereas going on Atlas, why this would not be original to Atlas, even if it was built by Atlas. I question if these motors are worth it. I think if I ran into one of these motors at a yard sale, an estate sale or something for $40, $50, I would probably buy it. But to give $125 and then shipping $150 for a used motor that's been around for 40 years, I wouldn't do it. I would not spend the money on it. I mean, it's in relatively good shape, it looks like, but who knows what condition it's actually in. I got a big dent here. A lot of times if these were on like a table saw, for instance, when they were swung up and down into position to tension them, you may run them into the bottoms of the machines and it'll dent those housings. But who knows what this was actually on. So capacitor is going to be underneath. This is not something I'd give $125 for. Anyway, moving on. What do we got? Here's a Amico shaper. Amico South Bend Atlas Logan shaper machinist lathe. There again, not an Atlas, but kind of interesting. Pre-owned, $1,800 or best offer, and $425 shipping. These small machines are not worth it. What does this say here? Who's selling it? Let's see who's selling it. Yeah, a guy that does a little bit of stuff here. 7-inch Amico shaper, runs and operates. Needs cleaning a bit though. Otherwise in great shape. Quarter-horse motor, tool holder and vise. Comes with nice Atlas table and legs. So there again, won't spend a whole lot of time. Does have Atlas lathe and table underneath it, or an Atlas bench. If you're getting an Amico shaper, why do you want an Atlas bench? No guards. Neither of these guards are on here. I think the Amicos are a neat little shaper. They're in the same class as the Atlas. There again, no guards. Somebody's vise, and I know not enough about the Amicos to know what's going to be original and what's not here. Probably actually, it looks. I think it looks not as nice as the Atlas machines do, but I would actually speculate it's probably a little bit more substantial machine. We've got dovetail ways here instead of flat ways like you'll have on the Atlas. The handles are probably going to be cast iron. Everything's it's kind of a ragged looking machine, but for its age it's probably not that bad a machine at all. There again, I don't know about the originality of the vise. It obviously doesn't have an original Amico stand, and I don't know if they made a stand for them or not. But it's a neat little machine. I would speculate that it's every bit as good as an Atlas machine, if not probably better. Would I give $1,800 for it? No. These small machines like this, I don't know Amico's market, but $800,000 probably at the top end is all. I really don't know. So anyway, some other stuff that I've already looked at. Rare Atlas 7BS 7101 guard, excellent original condition, used, pre-owned, $300, and then right below it's the smaller guard. These are the large and the smaller guards. They want $299 and $45 shipping on the larger one, and $200 and $26.43. We've looked at these guards. They've been out here. They're rare and excellent. Now they're beat to shit. They're still not worth that. Reproduction guards, mine are, I think both of mine are probably about a third less for new reproductions. Now down below is one we haven't talked about, and this is a original vintage Atlas shaper cover guard, rare cast iron version, pre-owned. Oh, and this comes from Canada too. 192.50 was 275. Now, going back to these two guards up above here, these guards have been listed before. They were way overpriced to start with. I think these have probably come down in price, although I really don't remember if they were this same price or more. I thought they were way overpriced when they originally were listed, and I think they've been listed, at least 2 or 3 times. Back to this next one. Original vintage Atlas Shaper cover guard, rare cast iron version. 192.50 was 275. They've got it right now for 30% off. That's because you can't get that much money for them. And $75 shipping. The only reason this is interesting to me, and this is a original guard. Let's see, the unit was painted decades ago. The hinge is included and has a cut mark that can be seen, which actually looking at that doesn't, to me, doesn't mean anything anyway. It's got a small little, looks like a grinder cut or something. The unit was painted decades ago. The hinge is included and has a cut mark on it, can be seen in the close-ups, no cracks. This is the original rare cast iron model, and that's in red, so it stands out. So you know it's an original rare cast iron model, not the later aluminum model. And I'm not going to go through the rest of there's a whole bunch of disclaimers and stuff in the description, but we'll look at the pictures on this, the big pictures. There again, not worth looking at them close. Now, the thing that strikes me as interesting on these, I guess we don't have blown up pictures. All we've got is the pictures. There's the inside of the guard. And there's the outside. And it's not in bad condition. You know, it's got grunge and grime and paint and stuff on it, which is fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. The thing that interests me about this is that I cast an aluminum replacement for these. That's what I've done for years, is an aluminum replacement for these. And other than my replacements or my reproductions, there's the cut he's talking about apparently, which is not going to affect anything. You know, I can't dink it for that. But other than my aluminum replacement guards or reproduction guards, I have never seen one of these in aluminum. Now, they may have cast some in aluminum, but I've never seen them. Every one of these larger guards that I've ever seen has been done in cast iron. So I could be mistaken, but to me, that's, you know, you see these guards out here, are they rare? No more rare than anything else that's out there. But the idea that we're touting this as something, as an original cast iron one, like the cast iron ones were really rare. No, it wasn't. And back when they did this stuff, cast iron was a cheap material to use. You know, aluminum alloys at that time were more expensive than cast iron. Everybody, you know, all the foundries and stuff would do cast iron. And aluminum was a more valuable material at that point in time. So everything that was made out of cast iron, and that's what I talk about, some of these castings aren't the greatest in the world. They'll be porous and they'll be sand inclusions and stuff. They will run through these foundries and just cranked out. So, you know, the idea that cast iron is the more rare material and all that stuff is just kind of crap. But yeah, now here there's other ones. Here's another original Shaper guard, a 7101 farther down. And we've talked about these two. These may be the higher priced ones that I'd looked at before. Although I think these are probably less expensive too. They want 400 and then 59.15 shipping on the larger one and 421.50 shipping on the smaller one. These people are smoking dope. Don't buy this shit at this high price. You know, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay, on to milling machines. The only thing I think I saw here, there was a few things, but there's an Atlas MF horizontal milling machine, rare vintage machinist tool, 110 volt, 2,500 bucks, and no bids. This is the milling machine that we talked about here a couple weeks ago or something, that was listed for I think $27.50. Didn't sell at $27.50. It's, you know, it's not worth nearly that. I don't know what I valued it at before. I think, as I remember, this had a bunch of extra gears and stuff that I said I don't know why you would have extra parts. And this has got a bunch of handles are busted on it, as I recall, or replaced. There are some busted ones, there are some replacement ones. This thing was just a $1,000 machine at the best. Now you go on down, I think we talked about some of these other parts. Somebody's parting out a mill. They want 175 bucks for the main base casting, the main column, the base casting, and I think there's looks like there's the table and the lead screw and stuff. Why are you buying parts? You know, the machine should have been left together to start with. It's stupid. Do not buy these parts for this. I think this is probably the same seller, although I'm not going to go and look at it. Maybe it's not. They've got a headstock assembly for the mill. Back gear, spindles, Atlas mill parts, pre-owned, $200. No. And $25 shipping. No. There's no reason to buy this shit for what they're asking for it. Here's the milling machine top cover. This is the little cover, and I'll go look at this just because we can. Nice part, no damage, and this is one of our sellers that's parting out machines. Cover for an Atlas mill, very nice with no damage repair. This is a small cover that goes over the gearbox, or the gearing for the power feed. This is that small cover on there. It's not worth $100. You know, if you guys want to spend $100 on them, I'll do a reproduction and sell it to you for $80. How about that? $80, and I'll include shipping. This is that small cover, originally in cast iron. These could be done in aluminum. There's, you know, it's not worth $100. This is in the used condition for what they are, it's a $25 guard. Why would you give more than $25 for that? Nope. Don't buy this crap. Drive these prices down to where they get them down to where they're a reasonable price, and then they can be afforded to be purchased. That's all that's really there. There's headstock assembly, excellent use, $300 and $52.75. No, 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 no. And this is there again. This is one of our part sellers that new and used junk. I'm not even going to look at it close. We can look at the big pictures very quickly, but I won't even go and read the description. It's not worth $300. $100. Headstock assembly in that condition, $100. That's all it's worth. If they're an excellent, you know, there's none of these parts that are excellent. No, they're not. As we can tell, I'm not spending as much time on a lot of this stuff as I used to, because you guys can go and look at it. There's no sense in me getting all worked up and ranting and raving about most of it. So I'm kind of moving through these quickly, just use them as a reference, and this is something that I think is worth sharing, but it's not worth me harping on for too awful long. So I've got other things that I've got going on. So we'll continue to do Fleabay editions, but just to keep you informed, but to continue to give big bucks for these. You know, we drove prices down for a while, but they still are listing them at way overpriced. Same seller, Atlas milling machine, complete change-o-matic gearbox, excellent use, $300 and $42.84 shipping. Yeah, it is complete, you know, for a gearbox assembly. It's not in excellent condition. It's used. It's a used piece of crap. Look at the markings on the end of the plate, or on the end of our knobs, and you know, you got all kinds of crap on it. It's an end cover, but it's nowhere worth what they're wanting for it. Excellent used, you know. That's all. It's been around long enough. Which this is a plexiglass or a plastic insert for, you know, our sight window there. Look at how yellowed, which they all are. You know, they get that way. This doesn't have as much paint worn off as a lot of them do, but it's still it's worn. You know, it's a used piece of crap. $300, smoking dope. Smoking dope. Original 7/8 inch arbor, $350. No. Brand new arbors should be worth about $2 in good condition. So anyway, let's move on and go to look at lathes. I think we've looked at that arbor before. Now here, we've talked about gears before. First one, there's a couple, there's several new listings right here, and they're all the same. Change gears, I've said before, $20 in the door. You know, maybe in really, really good condition. If they really look good, they're shipping and everything, less than $25. I wouldn't give more than $23, $24 for a really good condition gear. That's all they're worth. There's several of them here. Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch metal lathe, 32 tooth change gear, 2-inch diameter, $19.99 and $7.95 shipping. And we'll just look at this first one. There's a whole list of them. They're all listed the same. They do have a couple of larger gears that they still want $20 by it now, but they've got the shipping up to about $12. So let's look at the first one, and that was the listing I read. The giveaway here is cast iron 5/8 inch bore. So, and under the condition, they've got a description here: used, not used. Yeah, no, that's eBay's thing. Cast iron 5/8 bore, 19.99 and 7.95 shipping. Now I have. Well, this is not the one that I was looking for. Let me go back. Let me backpedal a little bit because that one's. Yeah, these have been listed. There's 3 listings right here. Let's go ahead and look at that first one. Yeah, we're a little bit sharpened up there on these sides. You know, they've scraped a little bit. Now they're advertising these as a cast iron gear. I do not believe this is a cast iron gear. That I'm sure that's not a cast iron gear. This is a factory Atlas Zamac gear. So, and there's 3 of these listed right here like this. So this is not listed correctly. This is going to be a Zamac gear. It is, and it shows quite a bit of wear. There's only the one picture here. It's not worth $20 and $9.75 shipping or $7.99 shipping or whatever the hell they want. This is a $20 gear in the door, and probably less from looking at the condition. I'd want more condition. I'd want more pictures of the condition before I'm going to give them $19.99 and $7.95 shipping. Nope, 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 nope. And this is a seller that's been around quite a while. This is an actual tool dealer, it looks like. So there's 2 more listings that are exactly the same as that. Now we go down and let me make sure this is actually this is the same seller. Atlas Craftsman 10-12 inch metal lathe, 62 change gear, 3 7/8 inch diameter, condition used, $19.99 and $13.75 expedited shipping. And the description says, I think it's the same thing. Yep, cast iron 5/8 bore. Now, I will not question and say no, this did not come off of an Atlas lathe, because it may very well have been on an Atlas lathe. But that is not an Atlas gear. And that's part of the things that gets me about this. That's centered up in that boss real nice too. So yeah, look at how off center that is. If it's a cast iron gear, it's not an original Atlas. And this is what stuck out to me right off the bat. It may very well have been on an Atlas machine, although it's only got 1 keyway. So the Atlas adapters that had those on there had 2 keyways cut in them, opposing keyways to line up with that key to spin them. So not original, not an Atlas. You know, it's going to be a functional gear, and probably, well, it's going to be a functional gear, but to my knowledge, it's not off of a Atlas 10-12 inch. You know, the smaller 10-12 inches like we're used to dealing with. All of those were Zamac. All of them, all of them, all of them. So those were there. There's several of those. 10-12 inch metal lathe thread dial. I don't remember seeing this one, but I probably wasn't looking. Pre-owned. Solo's been around, $4 shipping, $28. Now, in and of itself, it's probably not a bad deal right there. Working thread dial for 10-12 inch Atlas Craftsman lathe. It is in good working condition. You'll get the part just like you see in the picture. Now, you can't fault that. But let's look at the pictures and see what they are. That actually is in pretty good condition. You see a little bit of wear marks there where it rode on the gear. I've seen them a whole lot worse than that. Let's see if they show us a better picture. Yeah, that's got some definite wear to it. You know, that would have been a straight gear. That's probably a good functional thread dial. You know, and that's a seller that's been around $28. That's probably not a bad deal. It's one of the few that I've seen today. Then again, we got more of those gears, $19.99 and $13.75 shipping. Oh, there's a couple down here. There's 2, I think, that I wanted to look at. There's some commercial stuff down there that a guy's making Atlas machines excellent again. He took my affordable and made it into excellent. And look at those closely if you're looking at those. There again, I don't mess with commercial stuff at all. Those, he says, they came off of a working machine and everything. They've all been cleaned up. I think part of them have been repainted. You know, if you want something that's already been supposedly refurbished, His prices might not be out of line, but by the same token, you don't know how well it was rebuilt, what he's hiding, you know, or what the actual, you don't know the wear conditions of those parts. So just be aware of that. Now here is a Atlas Lathe 10-453 2-speed tool post grinder, $400 and $153.55. You see a few tool post grinders come popping up, and that's one of the things that I lusted after early on, and I still don't have one because I would never give the money for them. I think, let's see, turns on, runs quiet and cool, $400 and $153.55 shipping. What's the description say very quickly? That's all it says, is 2-speed tool post grinder, metal machinist. Let's just look at the big pictures. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time. You don't see a tremendous amount of these out there. You know, they're appear periodically. They seem to be trying to get about $400 for them, and somebody will probably buy this for that. $153 shipping is way, 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 way overpriced. That's you know, you should be spending about $40 shipping on this. And it looks to be relatively complete. There's no guards. You don't have either of the guards, the outer belt guard, which I've been working on a pattern for those slowly, but there again, not that much demand. But I do have that. It was originally a cast iron pattern, or a cast iron guard. And then there's no wheel guard over here for the other side. Otherwise, it looks relatively complete. You don't know, you know, it says it runs smooth and quiet and cool, and however they've described it. These things are wore out over the years. You know, they're probably going to be functional for what we're going to want to do, but not for not for $550 by the time you get them in the door. You know, there again, $200, $200 and $40 shipping. So half of what they want, type of thing. It's seen a lot of use, seen a lot of wear. Look at the striations across the pulleys there. It's got somebody's replacement belt. I think those were originally a leather belt, probably from that era. You see quite a few of them with somebody's replacement belt, and that's what this has got, is a replacement belt on it. You know, pretty grungy, pretty grimy. Nothing to write home about. So not for $550. You know, $250 in the door, half. It's worth half, no more than that. So if you can get it for the right money, that's probably it'd probably be okay. Not going to be anything spectacular. For $500, you can have a whole lot newer and a whole lot better tool post grinder than what you're going to get there. One more thing here, and then we'll close this out, just because I'm not going to spend the time on it. This is interesting here, and it's a new listing. 6-position turret lathe tailstock for a 12-inch Atlas Craftsman lathe. $600 or best offer, and $160.75 shipping. Who's selling this one? Oh, this is yeah. You see some stuff from this guy. I don't see a whole lot. $600 is about $400 too much. $160.75 shipping. You're probably going to spend, it should be about $75. So for less than $300, you should have this in your door if you're going to waste your money on this. Now, bear in mind, I've built up my production lathe. It's a 10-inch, but it has this 6-position turret post on it. 6-position turret lathe tailstock for 12-inch Atlas Craftsman lathe. And that's all it says. Well, the seller knows. Never been used or drilled, just sitting in a dusty corner of a shop. Appears to be complete minus the flat bar portion of the actuator. Everything runs smoothly. So, look and see what we got here. No handle. Your handle would run from here, off of here, or lever off of those two, and extend out the side. No handle. Grungy, grimy, rusty. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Okay, now we'll come back to this a little bit here as we go through these pictures. This has not been drilled. That is true. The way Atlas sold these is if you bought a production machine with a turret tailstock and the production cross slide, these were drilled at the factory to match that. So you very rarely see one that's not drilled. If you ordered these after you'd purchased your lathe as a afterthought, basically, to convert your machine to production, it came undrilled so it could be drilled on the machine, which was the way it should be. And you know, if somebody was buying this, that would be the best way to have it. So look at how rusted up this piece of shit is, and that's what this is. Now, bear in mind, if you want to, and I say these are a waste of money. You know, I run my little lathe occasionally, and I've got a project I'm working on. I'm waiting for some tooling to come in for it that I am going to run on my Atlas machine. Now, bear in mind, I also have a Logan turret lathe, a 930, I think it is 830, that you haven't really seen much of. I showed it a little bit early on. It's kind of tucked away in storage. I don't really use it. It, in most cases or most respects, is a better machine than the Atlas turret lathe. And I've got a whole lot less money invested in that machine than I do in my Atlas stuff. So that's something to bear in mind. If you're investing money in these, this tailstock is worth $200 as far as I'm concerned, and about 75 shipping. You know, for less than $300, this would be a fair deal. Now, bear in mind, these are not automatic index. When you run them back to the back condition or back position to change positions, you have to manually index that turret. This little bearing here, as it comes back, it rides against the stop there, and it cams it up to unlock this turret. Then you have to manually index the turret around, and then when you bring it forward again, and you have to make sure it's locked, it locks back in the locked position for your next position. So missing the handle, which it's actually the same handle as the production cross slide, if I'm not mistaken. This is listed as a 12-inch. Let's see what they've got here. Yeah, this is just showing it from the top. Okay, it does have the base. This is the only difference between the 10 and the 12-inch. This was originally offered on the 10-inch. They adapted it to the 12-inch the same way they did with a lot of the other components between the Atlas 10 and the 12-inch. All they did was raise them up. The compound on the 12-inch lathe is just a extended top casting. So the thickness of this base casting is the only thing that's different. Otherwise, these parts are the same between the 10 and the 12. So yeah, this section is all actually the same. I believe it probably, well, it's got to be unused since it hasn't been drilled. But look at the condition of this. This is a piece of garbage. This is something you're going to have to tear down and completely redo the shafts. All these were not super precision anyway. A lot of this stuff that we look at is not as precision as these sellers would like you to believe, or even some of the owners would like you to believe. It was a good production machine for certain small jobs, and that's what I use mine for. But look at this rusted up piece of crap. This is a piece of junk. This is a piece of junk for, let's see, and this is the bottom side view. This is our little bearing we talked about. When you run this, we're looking at the bottom side. When you run it all the way back, this pushes a spring and a plunger up here, which releases the turret. Yeah, this is the only difference right here between the 10 and the 12. And this is actually the gib. This would ride on one side of the inside of the ways, and this is actually to fit on the outside, so it can be realigned and adjusted. But there again, it's not worth $750, $760. That's foolish, you know. Same seller selling another 6-position turret tailstock for a 12-inch Atlas lathe, and it's the same way. It's never been drilled. It's from AK Tool Company. I'm not really familiar with it, but he wants $400 and $163.68 shipping for it. This is incomplete. You know, he says, well, it's missing the gibs, but it looks like most of the rest of it's here. Well, it's you're buying something that there's no parts available for. You know, it could be probably redone if a person wanted to spend enough time doing it. You don't have any gibs for the top. I'm not even going to look at it, but why would you buy a incomplete thing that there's not even any parts for? You know, at least when we look at the Atlas stuff or some of these others, there's a following to those, but this is some morphodite that you're going to be all on your own with. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got for you today. I thought that was few little interesting things like those turret tail stocks and stuff like that. But there again, same thing. Sellers are just, we know how bad we're being ripped off. I've said it enough times that anybody that's followed me for any amount of time on these, they know that this is crap. So anyway, I had a discussion yesterday with a gentleman that's talking about a worn lead screw or a worn screw for the tailstock on his 10-inch lathe, either a 10 or a 12-inch. So we emailed back and forth on that a little bit, and all of that stuff you can build yourself, and he questioned whether some of the things he'd seen here on Fleabay were good buys. Well, you're buying stuff like lead screws, half nuts, or just Acme nuts that go on to align those and everything. Anything you buy off of Fleabay, unless it's new manufacturing, then you really don't know the quality of it. Anything you buy here off of Fleabay is going to be worn just as bad, if not worse, than what you have. So anyway, avoid most of this stuff like the plague. Anyway, so that's what we got this morning. Comment suggestions, leave in the comment section for me below. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. And as always, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch.